found it very interesting. How do they know, or how do they make sure that you're going to be home when Joe Namath shows up at the door without letting you know that you're already in the Hall of Fame?
Well, the Hall had called me previously and said, Joe, if you're successful, we need to do this, and that's go out to the Super Bowl during the NFL awards banquets and stuff like that, and so forth and so on, because just in case we can't get a hold of you, who lives with you still, which was my wife and my daughter. They were still, because everybody else is married. And so they called my daughter, and they said, listen, we need to get your dad home. I think it was a Tuesday at between 10 and 11 in the morning. And she said, my mom can make my dad do anything. So, we'll have him here. So actually we had, the funny part about that knock was we had ordered food, and I was going to, not many people come to my house except if it's delivering something usually. And, I'm going to answer the door. I'm thinking I'm answering the guy for food. And here it's Joe, and it's like Joe in his gold jacket and 14 people behind him with cameras. I knew what they were there for, but I turned around and I said to my wife, hey, honey, Joe Namath came to lunch. So that was the first thing on my mind. But
that had to be great, man. That had to be a moment for you.
Oh, it really was. And honestly, listen, Joe's an icon. The AFL was started around his persona. He was probably the greatest thing that happened to Jets. I mean, how they predict the call that he made and everything like that. Joe Namath is Joe Namath. Who doesn't know Joe Namath, And for him to come to my house, to pull him out of the great weather in Florida to come up to freezing weather, was alone a feat in itself. But Joe actually told them all later that, for me, and he would have done it. So I was very honored that Joe came.
We're talking to Joe Klecko here, got honored. He's going into the Hall of Fame this August. I believe the Jets are going to end up playing in the Hall of Fame game. And really, the Jets kind of owned NFL honors. You had 2 Rookie of the Years with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. You obviously are going into the Hall of Fame. I'm wondering, I never really saw you around a lot of NFL stuff in the past. Was this like one of the first times that you have actually been back seeing everybody like at NFL honors?
Yeah. When Danny was around, my son, who actually played in 3 Super Bowls, which I can't stand, but that's beside the point. They walk around with his rings.
Yes,
but those were the only other times. And yes, I was never really involved much with the NFL alumni and stuff being around the game. And it was. I was surprised really at the legends, they call it, that they bring out and do at the Super Bowls like that, because the previous Super Bowls that I had been at and stuff, I didn't see that much of that.
You were there as a fan,
right,
and as a dad.
Mm-hmm. But I haven't really gone to many big the Super Bowls and stuff like that much at all.
Now, during the times where you weren't being nominated or you weren't getting in during the modern day candidate stuff, was there a point where you're like, I gotta forget about this? This is consuming me too much, or did you roll with the punches with it?
No, I roll with. Listen, I'm a very devout Catholic. I'm a good Christian boy, and I believe in God's will. And if it was His will for me to be there, that's the way I assumed it. I mean, I never take anything for granted. Like I said, when somebody said to me that I was finally nominated in August, I had to wait until, next January, February to have, the completion of it. I still didn't give it its worth. Reason being, I said, I'm in the construction business. And until I cash the check, you really don't know. So I didn't cash the check yet. So I was still on edge with it and so forth. But of course, it was fantastic when it came.
You said you were going to visit the Jets next week and figure out some stuff with them as far as your ceremony. Are you going to find out who the hell their quarterback's going to be this year while you're over there? Can you do some investigation for us?
Well, everyone loved that. Joe Douglas has been quite tight-lipped about it. I mean, they've been talking to everybody, which we all know that, and everybody's been asking me about my opinion about who it should be. But, I'll dive into it with him, no doubt.
And then just text him and be like, listen, this is what's going on. Like I saw Rodgers locked himself in the bathroom in the dark.
Yeah.
So he's coming here. Joe, it's great seeing you. Congratulations. We can't wait for August, and it's going to be, standing there looking out at the Jets fans still wearing your jersey, that's going to be a moment that will be seared in your memory forever, and we're so happy for you.
Right, and I need you to take a look at one thing for me, okay? So we have a video of my man Gio here going against one of our guys here, Sean Marash. in a little office football, and I made them put their helmets on, and I made them go mano or mano. He was the offensive lineman. Marash was the defensive lineman. I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to evaluate what this video looks like. So, Steven, if you can run the video on the big monitor, that would be great. Here it is. Yeah. So, Gio's, look at Gio. Gio's in the red helmet.
Keep your head up.
He did.
I pancaked the guy for crying out loud.
Yeah, but you got to admit he can't move.
Watch this.
See, look at the weight he's got on me there, too.
Yeah, and by the way, you see our center is Al Dukes, our producer. He ends up on his back.
Where'd you go, Al?
Look at his little skinny legs up in the air.
I tell you what, you did a great job. Nobody touched Boomer.
That's exactly. Look at that clean pocket, and that's really what matters. Yeah, that clean pocket. Yeah.
I tell you what, it's great to work here. Can I come work here now? If I win those battles like that, maybe I got a chance.
This is how we take it out on each other around here if we don't like each other.
The third day of our new program directors starting, and he was like, I'm going to get fired in my first week.
Well, I tell you what, you got off the ball pretty quick. At least you knew the snap count. That's good.
Look at that. Perfect.
And here's the thing, our center, Al Dukes in there, he not only did he snap the ball, he snapped the ball and just turned around and looked to see where he snapped it and didn't even pay attention to what was happening.
And he got run over. Get within it, Al. Get it.
Steve Roll, look at his little skinny legs up in the air.
Situational awareness.
Here's the best part. You threw the ball. Instead of he's throwing the ball to somebody to receive it.
Oh, God, that's great.
Unfortunately, Jerry dropped it, so it was all for naught.